and welcome to a quick discussion of Katamari Damacy Reroll. Originally released for the Nintendo Switch and PC, Reroll is an HD remaster of the original Katamari for PS2. It recently released for the Xbox One and PS4 as well, so I thought this would be a great time to give my overall thoughts on the game and the series as a whole, because I actually really like these games, and I really hope all of the different versions of Reroll do well. So let's jump into a level and see what it's like. So we play as the prince, who is tasked by the king of all cosmos to use something called a Katamari to roll up a star. So basically, we have to collect as many items throughout the world as possible. By the way, these load screens are actually slightly glitchy on Reroll. They kind of lag a little bit, and apparently don't on the PS2 version. So yeah, we play as the prince directly and have to roll around the Katamari. So, fortunately, one of my favorite songs in the series happens to be playing right now, Lonely Rolling Star, but in any case, basically, this game uses the control sticks, so pushing forward with both sticks will roll the Katamari forward, pulling back will move the Katamari backwards, and so on. Basically, different objects will stick to the Katamari, but we have to actually be the right size. So, for example, certain things are too large for the Katamari to pick up right now, so we have to build it up to a slightly bigger size to gain access to collecting even more objects. And that's basically it. It's a fairly simple premise, but I actually really like these games. They're kind of nice, because of how simple they are. It's just kind of an easy game to pick up and play, minus the controls being a little bit unwieldy at first. I actually like the controls in Katamari. Once you get the hang of it, I think it's really fun. But there's also a simpler option on Reroll. I'm not sure if this is available in a lot of the other Katamari games, more on that later by the way. But Reroll does have a simple control setup where only the left stick is used for moving the Katamari, and the right stick is used for turning. So it's a little bit simpler, but I actually prefer the standard setup because my first Katamari was Beautiful Katamari for the Xbox 360. Katamari is a series that jumped consoles constantly. So the first two games were on PS2. Katamari Damacy and We Love Katamari. It also was on the 360 with Beautiful Katamari, the PS3 with Katamari Forever, the PSP, the Vita, mobile. So I kind of wish it had stuck with one platform, because I think it would have made it easier to have actually played these games sooner, and also it would have been nice if they had been multi-platform sooner. This game is actually kind of a big deal because I'm pretty sure it's the first multi-platform Katamari game because of the others being exclusive to a specific console at the time. So it's also unique for being, I'm pretty sure, the first Katamari on a Nintendo system, and a console exclusive at that. It actually came out the same day as Smash Bros, if I'm not mistaken, Smash Bros Ultimate. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I was actually more hyped for this than Smash Bros, just because I was really excited to finally get a chance to play this game. I should also mention it is available as a digital download for the PS3, but I also don't have a PS3 in great shape. And my PS2 is also not in great shape. There's actually video of that. Years ago, I did a Final Fantasy IX first look, and the cutscenes were stuttering really badly. When I tried to play Final Fantasy IX on my own time, before that, my PS3 shut down repeatedly because it was overheating. So, yeah, I only had access to the Katamari games not on PS2 and PS3, which was a very small number. I also didn't play the Vita one when I had a Vita. Just did not get around to it, and I don't think I was actually really aware of the series at that point. I basically found out about Katamari by watching other playthroughs of it and being like, that looks really cool, and I wish I could try more of them. So as soon as I found a copy of Beautiful Katamari, I picked it up and had a great time playing through it. I was so excited for Reroll because a few reasons actually. One, I still hope that the rest of the series eventually makes it to current gen, because I assume many others still haven't really played that many of these games. Another thing is, I kind of hope Reroll did well enough to justify more remasters, not only of Katamari, but other Namco Bandai series as well. So, in Japan, this game is known as Katamari Damacy Encore, if I'm not mistaken. So, last summer, I think it was last summer, Namco released Mr. Driller Encore as it was known in Japan. It was a GameCube, I think Japan-only Mr. Driller game. That's a puzzle series, by the way, for the PS1 originally, I think. But also using that Encore branding because it was another HD remaster. But along with Mr. Driller Encore, there is a trademark for Klonoa Encore, which is what I'm really excited about, because I think Klonoa is another really underrated Namco series, and I really hope this Klonoa Encore trademark turns out to be as substantive as the original rumors for Katamari, because I think Katamari leaked in the same way, of like a trademark for like Katamari Encore, and people were like, that's probably just a mobile game, and everyone's like, wait, it's actually a remake or a remaster and also a console game, so it's a big deal. After the Vita, with Touch My Katamari, the series basically went to mobile for a long time, and then just kind of disappeared. So that's another reason why this is a big deal, because there weren't that many console Katamari games for a long time before this. So yeah, I definitely wanted to pick it up as soon as possible just to support the series, and also just, you know, genuinely wanting to play this game. And yeah, it's really fun. It's not the most deep game, but I actually think it's really enjoyable as just kind of a nice pick-up-and-play game. You know, each level has, or most levels traditionally have a time limit of usually like, you know, 10 minutes or so, so especially on Switch and handheld, it would be kind of cool to just pick up and, you know, complete a level, and then just go on and work on something else. It's just kind of nice to have a game that's not super involved sometimes, just a really easy game to just play a little bit in short bursts and then move on to something else, and then just keep chipping away at it. So yeah, it is also kind of like a nice little, almost cathartic game, because of you're just rolling around the world, collecting as much as you can. It's simple, yet very effective in terms of being kind of almost addictive as a concept. Like, in levels with time limits and specific size goals, it can be really fun to try to go for a hidden requirement of a shooting star. So certain levels have shooting stars that unlock when you basically beat a level fast enough under the given time limit. So if a level has like a 7-minute time limit, if you beat that level, that level's size requirement in like 3 minutes as an example, you unlock a shooting star. And it can be really fun to get really good at the game and go for those best times. But even casually, it's just really fun. Personally, I'm not sure which Katamari I'd recommend, because this game does suffer from first game problems. Basically, there are a few things I feel like are slightly better in the sequels, but the inherent problem is, can you find the sequels to play them? So for example, when you run into an object that you can't pick up, oftentimes things will fly off the Katamari, including collectibles. So there are two types of collectibles: the royal presents that unlock little bonus items for the prince, like the little crown he's wearing. There are also cousins, like other beings like the prince, that can be collected after beating the game. So in later games, cousins can actually be collected on a first run, and can also be unlocked as playable characters by collecting them. So having an additional collectible is great. In this game, cousins don't really serve much of a purpose, sadly. beyond just a post-game incentive to replay levels. But also, you can lose royal presence specifically really easily by running into things. There are a couple levels that I had to play like 3 or 4 times because I kept losing the royal presence. And from what I recall of Beautiful Katamari, that was not a problem to the extent that it was in this game. So, it does feel like they improved it later on. I don't know how long it takes for them to improve that, if it's like a change that was made as early as We Love Katamari, or if it was made much later than that. But either way, it is a welcome improvement. And also, yeah, I do hope even the game I have played, Beautiful Katamari, does get another chance at some point, because the Xbox 360 wasn't particularly successful in Japan, so I feel like Beautiful Katamari in particular probably didn't do so well because it was only on 360. The Xbox brand is just not popular overseas in Japan, so a lot of exclusives for 360 of like JRPGs like Tales of Vesperia, they just generally did not do very well, and in a lot of cases would get a PS3 version shortly after, like Tales of Vesperia for PS3 with bonus content. That's actually another Namco property I hope eventually gets a re-release, or gets more re-releases, the Tales of series, because I've only played a small handful of them. A lot of the games like Tales of Destiny are really expensive, and others like Tales of the Abyss I've only played on 3DS, so I actually would really like remasters, or even ports of some of these older Tales of games. I was thinking about it, and I think the only Katamari that might be a problem for porting is the Vita one, because it actually uses touch controls. But beyond that, I feel like every other Katamari game would work pretty well on current gen. Like, I think even Katamari Forever has optional motion controls. By the way, that's a cousin there. Again, in later games, collecting cousins is much more worthwhile because it's not a post-game thing, and it actually unlocks more playable characters, so definitely more worthwhile. In this game, cousins are only used in multiplayer, where 2 players try to build up the biggest Katamari, in kind of a versus mode. But yeah, I think this being multi-platform finally, I really hope Reroll has a lot of success. It did kind of come out at an awkward time, right as next gen was gearing up. So I do feel like, unfortunately, yet again, it got kind of overshadowed. Like, I didn't see that much buzz for it. I was excited that it was going multi-platform, but I don't think that many people probably got around to playing it in their hunts for a Series X or a PS5. So yeah, Katamari just has bad timing, specifically this version. Like, again, releasing the same day as Smash Bros. On Switch, and like a week after the PS5 and Series X for PS4 and Xbox One. Though I guess that does mean that they would work on, or this game would work on PS5 and Series X, but it probably doesn't look super great. So this game only runs at 30 FPS on PC, actually. So I assume the other consoles would not run it any better than that. I feel like this game is kind of an example where frame rate and resolution don't matter too much, because of just how minimalistic the art style is. Like, you can't really ray trace shadows if there's barely any shadows for objects. Like, the cars and the various objects moving around the world, they don't have shadows, so I'm not sure how much ray tracing would actually help. Same with like 120 FPS, I feel like it just would not make that big of a difference, nor would 4K, so like, I feel like this is a game that doesn't really need like Series X enhancements. I actually wonder if the little loading time stutter is better on current gen, or if it's just kind of bad on all versions. I actually don't know if it's like that on PC even. Also, this being the eternal variant of this level, we basically just have the option to roll around as much as we want, with no time limit or set goal. You can basically pause and quit at any time, which again makes it a really good way to just kind of chill out and just play a round or two of Katamari and just kind of relax a bit without having to worry about meeting a specific time limit. But yeah, I do recommend it if you have not played Katamari in any capacity. This is still a perfectly fine game, even though it's not my favorite, despite only playing 2 of them. So yeah, it's still worthwhile, especially because it's actually a budget title. It's only $30, at least it was on Switch. I'm not sure how much it costs on PS4 and Xbox One. I assume it's similar. But yeah, it's not a full price release. It's also only like a sub 8-hour game, so you could easily beat it in like a couple days. But for $30, I don't think it's that bad of a price. I think it's definitely fun enough to justify the price, even if it's a bit lacking in content. But also Katamari being so straightforward, and even though there are some variants, like, oh, collecting specific types of objects in a time limit, or other sorts of goals, the premise is basic enough that having a shorter game length I think is actually a good call, because if the games are any longer, they might kind of run out of steam. So I think having slightly shorter than average times complete is actually a benefit in the case of a game like this. It definitely does not need to be like a 40-hour game. So yeah, I do hope Reroll is doing well across all platforms. I hope eventually the Katamari series will continue. I also hope we'll get more remakes, or more remasters, or ports at some point, of not just this, but just more Namco games in general, really. More games in general, because I actually like ports as a way to catch up on games that I missed out on. There are quite a few games that I did not play, because when I had a PS2 that worked, I didn't really branch out that much until it was already too late and the system was already kind of dying. Like, playing Persona 4 on a broken controller was not the ideal way to play it. So yeah, I actually welcome more next-gen ports, or current-gen ports for that matter, to have more opportunities to play some of these games that I missed out on, or that other people have missed out on. Even if I own a game, that doesn't mean everyone has played it, and thus I want more people to experience the games that I like. And Katamari Damacy is definitely one of them. So yeah, this was just a quick look at Katamari. I think the game is lagging because of how big the Katamari is getting, so I think this might be a good time to end. Yeah, I highly recommend trying out the Katamari series. It's just kind of a chill sort of game. Nice little short budget title. And it's definitely worth it. And I, again, hope that the rest of the series eventually makes it across to current gen, all platforms preferably, and PC in the future. So with that being said, I'm gonna call this here for now, so thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for another discussion.